include a salute to veterans, and Turner Classic Movies has quite a salute going on, and they feature a Vancouver veteran talking about his experiences
Great ending, I think,
in
sort of giving,
Vietnam, and
right,
also
giving the traitor the choice,
about his favorite
come
movie.
back for a court-martial or just walk out of the plane.
The final plot twist.
Yeah.
That movie, Where Eagles Dare, and the veteran from Vancouver is Paul Henderson.
He is a Army veteran. He retired as a lieutenant colonel. He now spends a lot of his time volunteering with a nonprofit. It's called Soldier's Heart. He travels around the country leading workshops on PTSD and the latest treatment techniques. So thank you for being here, Paul Henderson. Thank you for your service. And tell us a little bit about why you got involved in that particular program, the Turner Classic Movies program. That's really unique.
It sort of came out of the blue. I have a friend who's also a Vietnam veteran who's been in the movie business since the 70s. And he's an actor and a director and a writer, and he knew some of the people at Turner. They wanted to have this thing over Veterans Day where they would have veterans introduce movies, primarily military movies. And so he gave them my name, and they called me out of the blue, and we did a couple of interviews and went through, and they said, okay, we want you to come and do this. So the next thing I knew, I was in Atlanta.
And it's you talking about the movie that you actually got to select for that.
Yeah. Actually, we spent a lot more time talking about the things that I do and some about my background, but yeah, some about the movie.
Why did you pick that particular movie? It was called Where Eagles Dare.
Well, I had a background in Special Forces. I was in Special Forces for about 12 years, and it's kind of a Special Forces type mission. You know, they infiltrate in the airplane and parachute in and link up and do
and
this big thing.
Look at this picture we're
oh, wow,
seeing
that's
on the
you.
screen.
Is this you?
Handsome guy there.
Yeah.
That's a much younger version.
You look great.
Talk about your service, Paul. You were injured after close to a year and returned home and had some PTSD, but at that time, you didn't know what it was. There was no name for it.
No. That was in 1970. And I mean, the term PTSD wasn't even coined until 1980. So there were a lot of us veterans who came home that we had significant problems, readjustment issues and just things that we couldn't identify, that nobody was talking about, that were very, very uncomfortable. And it took a long time before the society really started to catch up with this and start to do something about it.
I assume you're in your 20s at this time, is that right?
Yes, yes. I came home when I was 21.
And you now work with Soldier's Heart, so you travel around the country spreading awareness of PTSD. How did you get involved with that, and what do you think about doing that work?
Well, I actually went to one of their workshops, which I found tremendously helpful for me. And it takes a different approach to post-traumatic stress. After Vietnam, when it became such a big problem and people decided they needed to do something, the government essentially turned it over to the medical psychiatric community to do something, and they approached it much like they would a disease. So they identified it as an anxiety disorder. They figured out criteria to whether or not you had it. You had exaggerated startle response and nightmares and
When you lived in a time when you returned where the welcome was not a warm one, what does it mean to you to have a Veterans Day coming up Saturday when there are all these tributes?
Well, it's very nice. Yeah, you're right. It was the war was unpopular, and a lot of society blamed the soldiers for the war, which I think was a mistake, but it's what it was. So yeah, the perception has turned around over the years, and so I think for a lot of Vietnam veterans, you know, there aren't all that many of us left. Over half are gone now. And it's very gratifying, yes.
Well, I know, yeah, your story appearing this Saturday on Turner Classic Movies will help be of comfort to those who know what you went through, and that's airing at 11 on Saturday morning, again on Turner Classic Movies. Thanks so much for coming by,
I'm going to
Paul.
record it, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Great.
I hope your movie's followed
Saturday.
by Midway.
No, not
Saturday morning,
Saturday
I'm sorry,
morning.
Saturday morning. I want to see Midway that day. I'm sure it's on TV at some point.
Okay.
Well, thanks for being here.
All right, Drew, catch us up on This Week in Sports.
I cannot do that.